Howdy there, folks. Welcome to my announcement video for Pokemon Emerald. Almost said Red, but Pokemon Emerald. So some time ago, I actually made a Let's Introduce Pokemon video, which, oh god, it's such shit. I really hope not very many people have seen it, even though I know they have. Anyway, I mentioned that I'm going to be doing Pokemon Red, Crystal, and Emerald, for sure. And maybe Colosseum, but I can guarantee I'm going to now. Anyway, what I did not mention is that I'm going to be doing Pokemon Emerald as a Nuzlocke playthrough. So this video is to elaborate a little more heavily on what a Nuzlocke challenge is for Pokemon, because I feel like the majority of the fan base doesn't actually know what one is, or at least not in full detail. So, here we go. I have before me the rules that are stated on the website Bulbapedia, the online Pokemon encyclopedia. I'll probably post a link in that nice little annotation box right over there on the left. I don't know why, I favor the left with those. Anyway, the most basic Nuzlocke rules as they were first introduced are as follows. Any Pokemon that faints is considered dead and must be released. The player may only catch the first Pokemon encountered in each area and none else. If the first Pokemon encountered faints or flees, there are no second chances. If the first encounter in the area is a double battle in dark grass, the player may choose which of the two Pokemon they would like to catch. That last part has absolutely nothing to do with Pokemon Emerald. So yeah, these are like the two basic rules for the Nuzlocke challenge. Basically, it's to make you use Pokemon that you normally would not, and adds challenge, because if your Pokemon faints, it's gone. The second rule, the player may only catch first Pokemon encountered in each area, blah blah blah. That one's a little bit vague, and I've looked on many websites, and they don't really just elaborate a little more heavily. I read it, and I interpret it as to mean each new route. Not to spoil anything, but very quickly, in Pokemon Emerald, you come to a little town right after the starting town that is surrounded by three branching routes. There's one to the north of the city, well, town, one to the south of the town that you had to take, and then one to the west of the town. I take this rule to mean that I can catch one Pokemon from the north route, the south route, and the west route, because they're different routes. That's what I interpret that rule as to mean, but if anyone knows better or thinks that that's not how it is, then please feel free to let me know. There's going to be plenty of time. Anyway, let's move on. While not exactly a definite rule, the general consensus is that players must also nickname all of their Pokemon. Okay, believe it or not, I already usually do that. The only reason I haven't for Pokemon Red and the upcoming Pokemon Crystal playthrough is because of the fact that I was doing them for YouTube. And I figured people watching would rather see the actual Pokemon names rather than my stupid nicknames that probably are going to be considered really dorky. Anywho, also not a definite rule, but the general consensus is... Wow, they use that a lot on this, don't they? Anyway, the general consensus is that a blackout/whiteout is considered to be game over, even if there are Pokemon left in the PC. They said it's not a definite rule, but I'm going to be implementing this rule as well. If my whole team gets knocked out in one battle, it's game over. The Nuzlocke challenge has failed. Strongly implied, though not explicitly mentioned in the comic, because, well, you know what? Use Google and figure it out for yourself. Look up why they call it a Nuzlocke challenge. It's not very hard to find out. Anyway, the stipulation that you can use only Pokemon you have captured yourself, meaning traded Pokemon, mystery gifts, blah blah blah, are prohibited. Also, for the purpose of evolving a Pokemon, such as, Kadabra into Alakazam or Haunter into Gengar, is something of a gray area. Okay, believe it or not, I wouldn't be doing that anyway. I will not be trading Pokemon, mystery gifting, any of that. I think that defeats the purpose. So, Also, strongly implied is prohibition against voluntary resetting and reloading the game when things go wrong. Being able to do so would render all of the other rules pointless. So, yeah, I cannot reset. I cannot reset. If something bad happens, it happens. It's much like life. There's no reset button. There's also a huge list of optional rules, and I'm going to be reading some of them that I'm going to be implementing and some that I will not be. So let's jump into it. Though the above rules tend to stay consistent with all challengers... Challengers? Why not just challengers? Anyway, many optional variations and amendments to the rules also exist to further adjust difficulty. These include, but are not limited to, and here we go. Number 1, starter Pokemon is based off of your trainer ID number. If the last number is 1 to 3, player starts with a grass type. 4 to 6, fire type. 7 to 9, water type. 0 is player's choice. This rule is not going to be implemented because of the way I had things set up. Like, I actually planned out what starters I'm going to pick back when I announced Red, Crystal, and Emerald in my Let's Introduce Pokemon playthrough because... well, I just did, so this rule will not be implemented, sorry. I probably will if I ever am able to LP Pokemon Platinum. Adjusting the first encounter rule to ban duplicate captures. This rule's not going to be implemented either, just because... I don't know. Or rather, what I should say is that if I happen to run into a Pokemon I've already captured... I'm not allowed to recapture it, but I'm not allowed to get a second chance to find a new Pokemon. Sorry. Not officially enforcing the rules until the player has Pokeballs and can catch Pokemon. For example, Poochyena, or the one we're going to be seeing, Zigzagoon, that the player is required to battle at the beginning when they first pick their Pokemon. Okay, I assumed that this was just automatic. That this was just an automatic rule, but apparently it's not. No, I'm going to be following this one, because if I can't catch the Pokemon, I don't consider it the first encounter. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Use the same amount of Pokemon as the opponent during a gym battle or rival battle. This one, I'm not 100% certain if I'm wanting to follow it or not. More than likely, I'm not going to, just because I think I don't know. I think that's... well, it definitely makes it more difficult. I feel like that really takes away from a lot of what Pokemon is. After the first wild Pokemon is caught, the starter must then be released. I will never be doing this one, because I think that's dumb. But, that's just me. Banning the use of potions and healing items, relying only on Pokemon centers for healing. Again, I will not be implementing this rule, but I do have another rule in mind that will be pertaining to this somewhat. This one, I don't think it's possible. But anyway, banning the use of Pokemon centers, relying only on potions and healing items for healing. I don't think that's actually a possible rule. If it is, by all means, let me know, and maybe video responses, but I'm just saying that it's not the HP issue, because those are easy to get, those items. It's the fact that you can't restore your PP. You can't restore your PP, so yeah, you don't get access to your moves. I don't think that one's possible. I'm sorry. Limiting Pokemon Center visits to a certain number per town. This one's not going to be implemented either. However, I am going to be putting a restriction on it. What I mean is, I'm enforcing my own rule here. I've kind of made it myself. I'm sure other people have before, but anyway, I have to go through at least 2 battles before I can go to a Poke Center. This will prevent me from just battling, going to a Pokemon Center, battling, going to a Pokemon Center, battling, going to a Pokemon Center. That's going to get tedious as fuck to watch. I wouldn't do that anyway. But yeah, there's going to be a 2 battle minimum before I'm allowed to revisit a Pokemon Center for healing. This next one's fucking stupid. Banning the use of held items. I'm sorry, that's a dumb rule. That's a dumb rule. Hold items are one of the best parts of Pokemon. I fail to see how that would in any way really affect a Nuzlocke playthrough. So no, that will not be implemented either. Limiting the number of Pokeballs that you're allowed to purchase per Pokemart. I actually thought about this rule, and in a way I'm going to be implementing it. What I'm actually going to be doing is limiting the number of total items I can buy from each Pokemart. The amount is probably going to be 20 items total. That might seem a little bit much towards the beginning, but by the end it's probably going to end up kicking my ass a little. This includes Pokeballs, potions, antidotes, blah blah blah, anything. It all adds to the count. I'll be keeping track, and I'll make sure that everyone is aware that I'm keeping track. Anyway, banning the use of Master Balls. Okay. I wouldn't use the Master Ball anyway. You don't get it until, like, the end of the game. I don't know what the fuck I'd use it on, so no, that one is, of course, going to be implemented. But anyway. Rather than releasing the Pokemon, it can be permanently boxed, migrated, or transferred with Poketransfer, should it happen to faint. I fail to see the point, so, that's stupid. No. The player may not evolve captured Pokemon. Again, this is a stupid rule. Evolution of Pokemon is one of the core factors and cornerstones of the game. That rule will not be implemented either. Let's see. No catching or using legendary Pokemon. I am actually going to be catching them, but I will never use them. They're going to go straight to the box. The only reason I'm capturing them is because it's still a playthrough for YouTube. I'm still going to show them off. Excuse me. As another mercy rule, if the player runs into a shiny Pokemon, on the incredibly rare chance, the player may still catch it. Okay, no. No, I'm sorry. No. I'll show if I happen to encounter a shiny Pokemon, but I'm not capturing it. I'm gonna stick to the rules. No. I don't need a safety net. If the player has no Pokemon that can use a certain field move that is required to continue through any given point in the game, they may catch another Pokemon that can learn said field move. However, it cannot be used in battle for any reason and must be released permanently boxed or migrated as soon as the player gets another Pokemon that can use said field move. This is one that is going to be implemented just because it's a playthrough for YouTube. I don't want to get stuck somewhere because I don't have a Pokemon that can use Cut. I'm just saying that, yes, that rule will be implemented. Modifying the first encounter only rule for the Safari Zone, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm only going to be allowed to catch the first Pokemon I encounter in the Safari Zone. Should there be a Safari Zone in Pokemon Emerald? I don't even know. As a mercy rule, allowing 1 to 3 second chances or revives of fallen team members. That's bullshit. If I'm going to do this, I'm doing it right. I don't need a motherfucking safety net. Now, if my Pokemon faints, it's gone. Anywho, yeah, this was my little announcement video for Pokemon Emerald. I cannot guarantee when it's going to happen, like when the playthrough will be done. This is going to be a big project. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to go ahead and mention that I am going to be editing some of it. By editing, I mean I'm not going to make you guys watch every single battle I get into, because that's going to be really fucking tedious to watch. It's going to be different because it's going to be live commentary. It's going to be the first live commentary video that I've ever done. Well, it's going to be the first live commentary video that I'm ever going to be putting on here on YouTube. Not to spoil too much, but I actually have Super Mario 64 completely recorded with live commentary. But anyway, so yeah, because of that, hopefully it'll still be interesting and whatnot. I actually already did an announcement video, but I didn't do anything with it. In fact, I deleted the commentary, because originally I was going to do it post-commentary, but I've changed my mind on this, because if I do it post-commentary, I'm already going to know what's going to happen should I fail. That's another thing. Should I fail, don't worry, I'll do another Nuzlocke playthrough of Pokemon Emerald. Not immediately, but I will do another one until I manage to beat it. Or maybe I'll come up with something else. I don't know, but anyway, this has been the little announcement video for Pokemon Emerald. We still have Pokemon Crystal to go through, though, so stay tuned for that, folks. It's coming up after Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And, as always, feel free to subscribe. That way you know when the playthrough is done. We're coming up on the time limit I have set for this video, because I don't really wish to ramble. I'm Gene the Pink Panther. Please feel free to subscribe, as I already said. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the Nuzlocke playthrough of Pokemon Emerald. I'll see you then.